Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Orange Hat here to do another Tuesday theme stream, episode 13 for Bourne Tuesdays, Jason Bourne. We're finishing it up. And yeah, we're gonna talk about Jason Bourne. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to all my followers for supporting my channel. And I do want to thank everybody in the chat who have been doing their damnedest to get my watch time up. It is working. I'm up to 3,300 hours. I still need 700 hours to go before I hit 4,000. Any and all help is greatly appreciated, folks. Thank you so much for getting me that far so far. But the journey's not over yet. We got 700 more hours to go. So keep up the good work. Thank you so much to everybody who has been supporting my channel and to people who've been joining my channel and whatnot for streams. Tonight is Odin OMB Reviews channel at 7:10 p.m. I'm going to be modding the chat there where he talks about box office and other entertainment things. And tonight at 9, I will be on the Barroom Podcast, that's Society Reviews channel. We will be discussing Hollywood Insanity. Also, December, the 1s and 2s are going to be Gremlins on Mara Jade's channel, or Jade Shadow's channel. We're going to be talking Gremlins 1 and 2. And we're also going to be talking singles on my channel for Thursday. They're going to be later in the month, nearer to Christmas. We're going to be doing Krampus, and we are going to be doing Violent Night with David Arbor. And this upcoming Sunday is going to be a continuation of Tolkien Sundays with the Hobbit trilogy extended. So if anybody wants to join that, if they are able to watch the extended editions, by all means, we shall be discussing those on Sunday. So without further ado, Jason Bourne, the concluding chapter currently of the Jason Bourne series, which is no longer going to be the concluding chapter because, I think they're actually coming out with another one. It's in the works, apparently, with Matt Damon. But this one is directed by Paul Greengrass, starring Matt Damon, Julia Stiles, Alicia Vikander, Tommy Lee Jones, Vincent Castle, and Riz Ahmed. Jason remembers everything or almost everything. So there is some inconsistency. Now, a lot of people have said that this movie is not as good as the original trilogy, Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum. However, I still like this movie. It's actually very well done. It shows how Jason can use old school methods to dealing with an updated and next-gen agency. And Alicia Vikander is very duplicitous in this, and I really do like her character. However, her character in some ways is flawed in ways that is like, if I was an agency person that handled black ops and kill squads and whatnot, you'd definitely be on the list. Because, one of the things she says later on is something that would probably get her killed if she ever screwed around with kill squads and whatnot. But anyway, this movie recaps the Bourne Ultimatum, goes over his previous movie kills, and also adding a couple other ones in there, showing then it stops and Jason Bourne wakes up being driven out somewhere between the Greek and Albanian border. And it's a fight ring. And he's to fight this Russian guy. And this sets it up brilliantly where this guy is pretty hulked a little bit. And Jason Bourne, Matt Damon, got physically fit for this, man. He bulked up for this movie. No joke. So when I love it, it was from the trailer where they show him walking up and just solid round or a solid haymaker that puts the guy out. One shot, dude's knocked out. He's out cold. And it's like, holy shit. Well, it's good to know that he hasn't lost his skills. Holy crap. I mean, he delivered a seriously hard right to this dude. And it's like, that dude dead? I mean, you're supposed to keep him alive, I think. But damn. I mean, when I saw that, it's like, I mean, I was just frozen. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But yeah, I mean, it was a nice shot. It really does establish that Jason Bourne is still as skilled as ever with his combat skills. And then we get a trip to Reykjavik, Iceland, where Nikki Parsons from the Bourne trilogy is also in this one. And she's back. And she was, or for those of you who didn't remember, she is back to her, or she was an analyst, but now she's a hacker. I knew that she was an analyst, but I never knew that she was a hacker. She did a little bit of hacking in the last one, but I did not know that she was at the degree where she could literally hack the agency, you know? And she also uses a thing that was supposed to be destroyed like back in the 90s, but it wasn't. Hello to Vanya and Neozoic. Good to see you. I've been watching your old reviews. Thank you so much, Vanya. Dude, you have been helping a lot. Seriously, thank you so much for keeping my content going and whatnot. It really does help. I mean, it's been helping a lot, and I am very appreciative. So, yeah, she says that Christian Dassault has a reservation, and so she's let in, and she starts hacking the Langley. And so we are then introduced to Alicia Vikander's role. She's a cyber sleuth, essentially, for Langley. And she realizes that they're being hacked with a backdoor bug because there's like knocking on her front door, but it hasn't breached anything yet. And so she sees a little flicker in the numbers, and then she's like, move, get out of the way. And she realizes, yep, they found a backdoor in. We need to basically detect their hack. We need to get rid of it. We need to, there, I should actually offset the color. We need to essentially stop them where they are. But she also plants malware in Nikki's laptop, or in the encryption that she's doing. And, well, yeah. Black Ops files were stolen, but not without a bug being put on them. So Nikki gets out of there because we also see that the CIA can cut the power to the building all the way from Langley. So that's interesting. And I'm thinking to myself, if they could do that here or from Langley, I'm glad this is a movie, because I don't want to know if they could actually do that at or any other place. I mean, really. Yikes. So we then see that Nikki also found the name Richard Webb in the Treadstone files, which is the father of David Webb, a.k.a. Jason Bourne. And so now, yeah, she's on the run, and they find out who it is. And we are brought to Virginia with Tommy Lee Jones, who is another director, one of the directors of the CIA. And there's mention of Snowden, like Edward Snowden, because his secretary calls us like, we've been hacked. How badly? Could be worse than Snowden. And it's like, wow. Using real world stuff, you know? And then it's like it could affect Deep Dream and Iron Hand. And we learned that Iron Hand is the penultimate or the ultimate evolution of the Treadstone program. essentially. It is a new program called Iron Hand, but we think it's a new Treadstone program. Well, we learn a little later what it really is. So Vikander looks into the hack and finds it to be Nikki Parsons, and she is linked to Jason Bourne. So we also, one of the things I do like about Heather Lee, which is Vikander's character, she's very ambitious. So when her acting, the way that she does the acting, you can sense her ambition. She wants to raise or go higher than where she is. She eventually wants to run the agency. And it's like, it's good to have ambition, but it's also dangerous to have it, you know? And so one of the things that I really do like about it is when she is getting into this whole thing, she's like, I would like to be point on this operation. You're not read into the details. Actually, I kind of am. I asserted malware onto her, so the second she uses it or uses that encryption again or tries to open the files, we could find out exactly where she is. Yeah. So she basically inserted herself into the operation, and the CIA doesn't like that because, well, she's a lowly tech or cyber sleuth. So we're then brought into Rome, Italy, a pre-Treadstone asset is put into play. However, he's been with the agency for so long, and he's and then we go to Athens. Sorry, feel like I have aphasia or something. Jesus. We see the Bourne is having trouble sleeping, and the headaches never went away. We are reminded with his multiple passports how he still has them. And he's brought back into another fighting ring where he's actually taken a beating. He's not willing to dole out the beating until he sees Nikki. And it's like he sees Nikki, and so he just ends the fight really quick. He's taking a beating from this guy, and then he just goes after a dude's ribs and then knocks him out. And it's like, why were you taking a dive, dude? Are you trying to kill yourself? You get the idea that Jason Bourne is just wanting to survive, but now he's just sick and tired of it. He just doesn't want to survive anymore. You see that he's basically without purpose. Somebody like Bourne needs purpose. And so it does kind of play into the psych profile of Jason Bourne that they are thinking about. And it's like, well, would he go back if he would, or under the right conditions? It does make one wonder. Hold on one second, folks. Yeah, there we go. All right. So after he sees Nikki and he gets a meeting with him or with her, we see that they are using a riotous demonstration in Greece or in Athens to mask their meet. But the CIA is already plugged into Athens, and an asset lands. And I like how they are moving along to get the asset, his tools, his gun, and whatnot. And also, Vincent Castle, who plays the asset, he's played in Shrek as Monsieur Hood. He played in Underwater as one of the captains of the facility underwater with Kristen Stewart. He also played what was that other role he played in that I remember him in? He was in Black Swan as the teacher of the ballet. So yeah, the guy has range. I mean, he plays a ballet teacher, Monsieur Hood, so he's done voice acting, and now he is an asset, or he's a killing asset for the CIA. So yeah, he's got range, and I think it's pretty cool. And I like how he's like, I'm not finished here, because he was in Italy or Rome, and he's like, I'm not finished here. Jason Bourne is in play. Right. That's all it takes. It's like, Jason Bourne is in play. Well, we learned why this guy immediately decides to abort his mission when told, after hearing that Jason Bourne has surfaced. Vince Cassell plays this role so well that you truly do believe that this man has a huge hatred, a huge hate boner for Bourne. And I gotta give credit where credit is due, man. Vince Cassell did such a great job with it, with that, or his role. He only responds to Dewey. He doesn't like working for anybody else, because Dewey is basically responsible for saving his ass afterward, or from a past engagement, which I'll explain later. But yeah, in Athens, Jason meets up with Nikki, but they get spotted, and so he's like, I'm going to draw them away. So he keeps looking back at him while he realizes that they have surveillance equipment up and pointing at him. So he looks directly at him for a little bit, allowing the CIA to recognize that, oh my God, Jason Bourne is back. Stay with Bourne. So it's like, yep, stay with Bourne. And so Nikki breaks off, and she also tells him, it's like, what are you doing here? We hacked the agency, or I hacked the agency for Christian Cassell. He's going to get you killed. Well, it matters, Jason. I took all the Black Ops files, and they're starting up another program called Iron Hand. And he's like, what does that have to do with me? It matters. What they did to you, or you've been traumatized by what you did, that you never thought about what they did to you. They were tracking you. Your father was not just an analyst. It looks like he was directly involved with Treadstone. So we then see that he's been having memories every time he tries to access the memory to his father, or from his last moment with his father, who was killed. He keeps seeing blanked out spots. So it's like, that is a small writing inconsistency, folks. When you say in the last movie, The Bourne Ultimatum, I remember everything. Well, yeah. Jason Bourne now has a problem because he doesn't remember everything. He's not remembering specific bits about that moment before he went into Treadstone. You see where it is a little bit of a wobble? A little bit uneven writing? When you say that he remembers everything, and then you say he doesn't, what is the truth? Because you even have him recap saying, I remember everything in the beginning of this movie. But apparently he doesn't. So, it does make you wonder, you know? And so now they're on the run. The asset's in play, trying to engage them. You get this nice little chase through Athens. Jason takes out the team that's following him. And it's like, take out Bourne and take out Nikki, because she has been, they thought she was dead, but turned out she went off the grid and became a hacker for this Christian Dassault guy. But anyway, ends up with this whole chase ends up with Nikki dead because the asset crashes and has to get onto a roof. Now, this guy is absolutely, like I said, he's got a hate boner for Jason Bourne. So he didn't get Bourne. However, he's waiting, even when a helicopter of the Athens authorities, or of the Greece authorities, sees that he just wasted 2 people on the roof. And he's not pulling out when Heather is telling him, asset, get moving. Strike team is approaching you, and you got 30 seconds. He's still not moving. He's still not moving. He's still not moving. Well, when Nikki, who has been shot, and the bike wipes out, she's like, she moves up to basically to hand her thing over, and that's when the asset shoots her again, causing her to go limp. But her encryption key, or not the encryption key, but her key to her locker is tossed over to Jason. Jason doesn't go out. He's looking at Nikki, who's now dead. Now, I got to say, Julia Stiles, you really do notice her aging in this, where she was, or where you see her very much young and vibrant coming off of, or after she came off of 10 Things I Hate About You into the Bourne movies. It's like she still maintained her youthful appearance. And this is like 9 years later or something. 2007 to 2016. So yeah, she's aged 10 years and she still looks good. Don't get me wrong. She still looks good. But it's like, I almost didn't recognize her when I first saw her in this movie. It's like, did they get the right actor, or did they get the actress back or Julia Stiles back? Because it doesn't look like her at first. But once she spoke, and it's like, oh, right, it is her. So yeah. Hold on 1 second. And I'm back. Just needed to get a drink. Bourne then escapes. Langley goes after Nikki's contact. Christian Destoe looks into him. And then we learn that the asset has a personal grudge against Bourne. He was part of the Blackbriar program, which Jason Bourne and Pamela Landy outed in Ultimatum. And immediately his cover was blown because of the outing, and he was trapped in Syria. He got burned and he was tortured in Syria. And you actually see his how badly he was whipped in Syria. His back is covered with whipping scars. And so, yeah, he absolutely wants to kill Jason Bourne. And I like how Heather Lee notices all of this because she's extremely smart. She's also extremely, she realizes that this guy's not moving. She's like, sir, may I ask you something? Does the asset know Jason Bourne? Why would you ask me that? His actions on the rooftop suggest there's a connection. So he lets her know. He's like, yeah, Jason. The last time Jason Bourne resurfaced, he exposed the Blackbriar program. Our asset was part of that program, and he was immediately burned while he was in Syria, and he was tortured for 2 years until we were able to get him out. So yeah, he's no fan of Jason Bourne. But there is also another level of personal when it comes to this asset and Jason Bourne, because it turns out that this asset is also the one who killed Jason Bourne's father. We learn that later, but we understand exactly there is a lot more than just he's very pissed off at Jason Bourne because it got burned because of Bourne outing Blackbriar. So we then see Christian Destoe is moving in, or is Bourne's next target as well. Aaron Kaluuya, the founder of Deep Dream, a new social media platform that the CIA is partnered with, and they want to use it to spy on people. And he is assuring everybody that nobody will be watching them, except that he actually is doing a backroom deal with the devil, and it's like, okay, nobody will be watched. However, you will be watched. You just don't know you'll be watched. Nowadays, I mean, this is reeks of how social media is used by the government to spy on people. It's very clear that that is exactly what is really happening in the real world. However, this movie basically comments on it and sensationalizes it. However, we all know that it is actually true. You say the wrong word online, you got a government person looking into you while you are doing your internet stuff. Like, if you accidentally mention a freaking code name for an operation from Langley, chances are they'll hack your phone, they'll hack your internet history, they'll hack everything to make sure that you're not a threat. So yeah, that's essentially what it or how they were operating in these movies. But I really wouldn't put it past them, you know? So, Aaron meets with Dewey and admits that they were doing business and how it's a gross invasion of privacy and he doesn't want to do it anymore. Yet, I like how Tommy Lee Jones is just such a great freaking actor. And I love how he's like, you little shit, you didn't have a problem with this when we gave you money to start up your company and turned you into a billionaire overnight. And I've repaid that debt several times over. I'm done. You're on your own. And he's like, yeah, you just sold out your country. Is that it? And so, yeah, we learn that there is animosity between them. Well, then we get to Vikander looking into Bourne's training, learning from his psych profile that he could be brought back under the right conditions. So she tries to play Dewey. She's like, we could probably bring him in. Let's try to do that. Well, Dassault and Bourne meet, and she sees her malware reactivated, and we get the scene in Berlin where Bourne meets up with Dassault, and he opens the files, and they're trying to get in there, or Langley is basically like, we can't let these files go public, erase the files. So she's like, wait, maybe we're reading this wrong. And he's like, you have no idea who you're dealing with. You have no idea who this person is. So yeah, we're not going to wait. Kill the fucking files now, you know? Well, we can't hack it to his laptop, but there is a phone active in the room. We can use the phone to do it. Orange, how do you feel about people blaming the Bourne franchise for starting the whole shaky cam action scene? Or is it a misblame? It is very much a misblame because there has been other movies before that have had shaky cam where it's like when you see a fighting scene and it's like this all over the place where you can't get a good fix, where later movies of the Bourne movies made it look less shaky, yes, like this. However, you're still able to see what's going on. It's less chaotic, but it still tells a story. Now, people saying that it's the Bourne series' fault is kind of wrong, because we've always had scenes in movies that have had shaky cams during fight sequences where it shows that, or where you're trying to add a little bit more authenticity, but you got to have the right balance when it comes to cinematography. Otherwise, you're going to take people out of it instead of keeping people in it. So when you have people moving through, when you have a camera that is catching the right angles and whatnot, and you want to see how you're going to, how an angle will happen, the shakiness of it, you want to make sure that you have a proper balance, because if you do have a proper balance, your movie is going to be enhanced instead of diminished. But saying that it's all Jason Bourne series or it's the Bourne franchise's fault it's a misblame. It is a misblame, Zoe. But thank you for the question, Matt, because that is one thing that they actually do very well in this movie and in the other movies. They actually, for the fight scenes in this one, they keep it more even, because the shaky cam was pretty bad in Identity, a little bit more improved in Supremacy. But you also have to understand that in Ultimatum, they also had situations where they needed a very holy crap moment kind of thing. And having the camera go like that allows you to not see the props or the things they use for practical effects to go off. So like the going back to Ultimatum for a moment, you see the guy open the door and boom, his head is blown off by an asset in London. The reporter who died after Jason Bourne was telling him to stay put. The reason why they have a kind of a shakier cam is because if you saw it perfectly unshaking, you would have noticed that there was a blood pack in the back of his head that sets off the or with the squid that sets off the little mist of blood, and you would have actually seen that, kind of like Terminator 2. When the T-1000 goes like this, killing Xander Berkeley's character, then they show you where he has it in his mouth. However, when they pull it out, there's a thing on the side of Xander Berkeley's head, which is the extracted blade that goes into the back of the cupboard. Well, when it pulls out and he's falling forward, he accidentally tips forward. If you play that frame by frame, you'll see the contraption on the side of his head. So that, or practical effects, works, but you got to make sure that you do a good job at hiding it. And sometimes a slightly shaky cam, or a shaky cam like this, or like this, can actually keep or take you out of it just a tiny bit to miss those practical effects. And that actually is a very good thing to do, because if you're seeing all the effects sometimes, because a good example of a really bad movie, funny but bad, is one where it's a Cheech and Chong movie where frickin' Chong is just pissing out the window, and there's this guy outside working on something, and yet it's suggested that he's pissing on dude's head. But when they pan up with the camera, you see a dude take the bottle or pull the bottle off screen really quickly that he was using to pour the fluid on the dude's head. So it's like, yeah, that's a big movie mistake. I mean, when you're able to see beyond the illusion on the screen, that the movie magic that's going on behind the scenes, you realize, oh crap, that's not something you really want to see, because you don't want to spoil the movie, you know? It does drop quality. But in this movie, you have some chaotic scenes that adds to the realism of the shot, but you also have shots that they want to put you into it more personally, like fights between Christopher Dassault, Jason Bourne versus the other people going after him, and then later on when he fights the asset. And the asset doesn't have a name. He's just named Asset. So, but Vince Cassell plays it very well. So then we learn that, or after Bourne talks with her, she's like, I can see you're going through the Treadstone files. Let me help you if you want to find something. But Dewey's like, give me that phone. Do you remember me? And I'm thinking to myself, no, man, you never showed up in any of the other movies, so why would I remember you? I mean, I wish they did a blooper reel for this movie, because they could, it would have been perfect, man. If I was Matt Damon, I would have done a small blooper thing. It's like, put it on a blooper reel, man. I want this on a blooper reel. And it's like, there's Director Dewey. Do you remember me? No, you never showed up in any of the movies. Why would I remember you? I feel that was just such a golden moment for a perfect blooper. But yeah, it lines like that. Do you remember me? And then you bring in all these different station chiefs in each movie. I mean, the first one, it was Conklin, and then it was also Abbott, then Landy, then Vosa or Vosen, and then now it's freaking Deputy Director Dewey, and it's like, okay, yeah, where was he in the other movies? And whatever happened to Landy? Why didn't they ever resolve her character? I mean, I would really like to know whatever happened to Pamela Landy. But yeah, we then see that she wants to bring him in, and the director is this redheaded guy. And like, well, all right, let's give it a shot. And Tommy Lee Jones, he doesn't want to give this a shot, but he's willing to let her play her little game, except that he's going to sabotage her little game. Director or Tommy Lee Jones's character, Dewey, knows that he wants Bourne dead because Bourne has he's a threat. He's a threat, and they all are assuming the worst on him. Well, she's not. She's actually willing to say, it's like, would you want to come back in? And so she's going to Berlin, or she's going to London to try to talk to Bourne, because Bourne also realized that he was under surveillance before Treadstone, before the files got erased by Langley. And he found out a name, Smith. And so he goes to London to talk to Smith. Now, he's trying to remember more clearly, and while he's looking for this Malcolm Smith, and he's also looking into Heather Lee as well, realizing that she is a very young and ambitious person. And so we then see the asset is in London on Dewey's orders, and he doesn't want to work with Heather Lee, but we see that let's see here. Or we also see that Aaron is Aaron Kalor, who is played by Riz Ahmed, who's coming up with the social media stuff. Sorry, I did skip over this. He gets served by the government because the government says he's violating the Sherman Act, or possibly violating the Sherman Act. Now, I looked up the Sherman Act, folks. The Sherman Act, in simple terms, is if you are doing a business it's basically the Monopoly Act, where you're not supposed to create a monopoly or to hinder or cause problems with open market or competition. And that is not exactly that's not exactly what they do, or that's not exactly what creating a social media platform. He's not doing that. All he wants is to have it open and not be spied upon. Well, he's like, okay, I'm going to Vegas. I need an insurance policy. I want you to give me all the tapes on that I've had, or of the meetings with Director Dewey, including the off the book ones, especially those. He's going to burn Dewey if Dewey's going to fuck with him. So, yeah. How would I compare Jason Bourne with other 2016 films such as Captain America Civil War, Rogue One, Hacksaw Ridge, Deadpool, Superman, or BVS? Civil War was good. I mean, these are apples to oranges to grapes, man. Hacksaw Ridge, I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge. Deadpool was entertaining. I do like Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition. Rogue One was okay, but it does go against what canon was established from the EU. Just because they had a good Vader moment does not mean the movie is good, you know? I do like, out of all these ones mentioned, I do like Jason Bourne the most. Yes, Deadpool is a good movie, but I like Jason Bourne the most. And thank you again, Neozoic, for popping the question. You see, this is stuff that I actually do enjoy, folks. A little bit of interaction between the chat and whatnot, always good. So in London, Bourne contacts Malcolm, wants to meet, and the asset is reporting to Dewey. Dewey sabotages the operation for Lee, and the asset goes off script, killing her team. So they can't interfere. And it's like, really? Fucking really? And he even tells her, it's like, you've lost control of this off. There's no bringing in Bourne. I mean, that's something that I really do like about Tommy Lee Jones. He has a way of acting where he stretches his words. Like, there's no bringing in Bourne and whatnot. He does such a good job with that. I mean, that's something that he does with his roles. I mean, especially in Captain America, the first one. You don't win wars with niceties, Doc. You win them with guts. I mean, he has almost a very condescending tone, and he plays that very, very well. But he's also a good actor too. So Bourne gets a hold of this Malcolm guy who had him under surveillance before he was Treadstone. And we see that this is Bourne Unleashed. His friend has been killed. He just realized from reading the Treadstone files that he was under surveillance. His dad wanted to tell him something, but they said he was killed by terrorists, and he wasn't. So this is now Bourne wanting the full truth. And so when he gets his hands on this guy, he causes him to go out into a meeting spot with him, and the asset is on a roof nearby, but multiple fire alarms go off and cause everybody to assemble in a square, creating such a crowd that when the guy freaks out, Bourne grabs him. And that is this is him using their own methods against him. You gotta love it. Bourne has a very good talent of doing that. So when he is interrogating the guy and the guy is listening to Dewey because Dewey's in his ear, and he's like, "Don't you tell him anything." He's like, "Think about your family. Don't you give him nothing." And so Bourne is like, "I'm not going to put up with this shit." And he shoots the guy in the leg, and he's like, or he continues to grill him. "Why were you holding me under surveillance? Why was my father killed? They said he was killed by a terrorist. Or why was I put under surveillance? What is going on? I want the truth." And he's fully willing to kill this man if he doesn't talk to him. I mean, this is Bourne completely fed up with the bullshit, you know? This is Bourne basically like, if you freaking keep pushing me, I'm just going to say fuck it and I'll kill you all. He hasn't reached that point yet, but he does want to know the truth about his father. And so the guy's like, "Where is he?" And he realizes, "Where's who? What? Oh." And he pulls the earwig, puts it in his ear, and it's like, "Yes, it's almost there. We're about to end this." And then he looks over to the side, and he sees the asset coming out, and then he has a flashback. "You're the one who drove off in the vehicle after my father was killed in a car bomb." So yeah. We now see that the asset is recognized, and he's like, "Bourne recognized me. I'm going to see if he gets shot with Malcolm, because he puts Malcolm in front, and Malcolm takes a shot, but they end up falling off the roof. So he has to stop himself from falling. So he grabs a wire that he's fallen onto, wraps his leg, but he still gets smack on the head, and his face is bleeding and stuff. Good effects, by the way. Oop, sorry. How would I compare Tommy Lee Jones' role in Jason Bourne with other roles such as Men in Black, Country for Old Men, Natural Born Killers, JFK, Batman Forever, and whatnot? Dude has range. Tommy Lee Jones is a gifted actor, man. I especially liked him in the movie The Hunted with Benicio del Toro, and in him. I mean, where he actually has to fight up, or he trained people to kill to survive. He's not military though, but he is a survivalist, and he ends up having to go after a person who he trained. So Tommy Lee Jones just does such a wonderful job with his roles. When people seek out Tommy Lee Jones, they know that he is right for the role. I have not seen Tommy Lee Jones miscast in any of the movies that I've seen him in. I honestly haven't. He plays the roles that he play or that he's in with such gravitas and such skill that it's almost like he could be an everyman, or that he's a chameleon when it comes to range. He just blends with so well, you know. But moving on, after Bourne escapes, he's listening to the Asset and Dewey talk because they didn't know that he took the earwig, and he knows that they're going to Vegas and that there's a problem with, or the Iron Hand is compromised. So there's other plays to be made. And he also hears that this guy is just wants to kill Bourne. He's like, or it's not going to be done until one of us is dead. And so he's like, fuck is this guy? I mean, you see him reacting to this while he's while he's getting away, but it's like, what is this guy, you know? Why is he after me? What the frick? But you know what? I still want to kill him because he killed my dad. So I don't care who he is. He killed my dad. He's going to die. And Dewey's probably going to die too because he's responsible for it as well. So yeah. He meets up with Heather Lee and he's like, we both want Dewey gone, but we also both have different reasons for it. And so she helps him get to Vegas. Now, a tech convention in Vegas is Christmas for Jason Bourne when he's doing spycraft and shit. He grabs all these different things like a freaking tracking dot. He grabs a listening cam and all sorts of stuff that come into play during the whole thing. And it's really freaking cool. So she gets him through surveillance or through customs at Vegas, so he's able to not be flagged. And Aaron Kaluuya is in Vegas to launch his platform, Deep Dream. And the Asset is also arriving, and he's like, "Are you set?" He's like, "I'm going over my departure route right now. When when Aaron and myself are on stage, I want you, or I'm going to have my left hand down by my side. I want you to put a bullet through it. It needs to look as real as possible. Or it will be more convincing if I'm also the target." Copy that. So yeah, who would pass up the shot or pass up a chance to shoot the boss? Joking, obviously, folks. I do not condone that whatsoever. But when they all converge on Vegas, and Bourne is actually when Bourne is actually finding out stuff, well, Heather is now put on the stage instead of Dewey. And when Riz Ahmed plays the character very well, he played a villain in Venom, and he played in Rogue One. So him in this movie and Rogue One at the same time, 2016, pretty good. It makes sense why he has his beard the way he does. But anyway, the Asset's about to take out, or Aaron Kaluuya is about to burn the agency. He's like, there's a cancer at the heart of Deep Dream, and I made a deal with the devil, essentially. And so he's like, take him out right now, take him out right now. And Bourne knows exactly where the Asset is, or once he gets in, he's like, he's looking around, perfect spot for a sniper perch, where the targets are on stage. So he busts one of the lamplights and flashes it right at where the sniper is, knowing that the sniper is most likely there, and then starts shooting at the thing. And everybody's like, we got eyes on the shooter. So there's the whole chase through there. And we get to the final confrontation between Bourne and Dewey. And also the Asset is identified from cameras, so they can't get him out. He has to get himself out. And sorry, I had to take care of something. And we then see the let's see here. Bourne uses the chaos to get upstairs and to get to Dewey. And when he confronts Dewey basically is like, I just wanted, or he tells Dewey, it's like, I just wanted a life away from this. Yeah, how's that working out for you? Well, he then has to stop Dewey's assistant from coming in, or Dewey's protection from coming in. So he kills that guy, but not before getting gut shot. And Dewey's about to blow his head off, but then Dewey's shot by Alicia Vikander because she also realized that Dewey burned her. So he goes up to her. He's like, you were never here. He takes the gun from her. Thank you for helping me. And so everybody goes their separate ways. They walk away, but he has unfinished business. He's going after the asset, and we get the Vegas chase. Very good Vegas chase, but it draws out a little too long. The chase goes all the way up and down the strip, and I just feel that you could have shaved it down by 2 minutes. It would have 2 or 3 minutes. It would have been perfect, because then they end up in spill or drain tunnels, and you get the fight between them. And the asset's like, you're a traitor. Your father was a traitor. It's in your father's a traitor. You're a traitor. It's in your blood. But he eventually gets the upper hand because he's holding, or the guy has a garrote around his throat. And so he's holding on as best as he can. But in order to realize that the only way he can win is by letting go, grabbing the guy behind him, his legs, and then slipping back to fall, which will knock the wind out of the guy long enough to get the garrote off of his neck. And so then he is able to choke him out and snap his neck. Well, now the asset is dead. The ending is the part that I was telling you about in the beginning, folks. Heather meets the director of the CIA, and her ambition gets her, or he's like, well, what do you want? Well, the next time you're or he's like, next time you're assigning another or director position, keep me in mind. And he's like, or she's also apologizing about Dewey, and he's like, Dewey was, or she's like, Dewey was part of the past. You need somebody who can carry the agency into the future. And he's like, well, what about Kalor? I can handle Kalor. There's still moves to be played with him. And we get that small little empowered woman line, not woke at all, because she's like, you need somebody who is empowered by you. So, and before she leaves, he's like, and what about Bourne? Bourne is a patriot. I can either bring him back, or I believe I could bring him back in. And if I can't, then he'll have to be taken out. So before she leaves, she's like, I hope that you do think about this, because even if you don't consider me for a director's job, that's fine. There are other agencies that will more than likely appreciate what I have to offer. And then they have a really bad camera shot where they're filming her leaving the truck or leaving the vehicle, and leaving the director being like, oh, you want to play that fucking game? All right, fine. You little bitch. I can't believe you have that much ambition. That kind of ambition, and I'm sorry, if I had a pistol, it'd be like, oh, you want to threaten me? Boom. Sorry, you're too much of a threat now. Because, all those ABC agencies, they are competitive with each other, folks. They don't like to be, they don't like to work together, which is a problem if you ask me. Quick question. If the 6th Jason Bourne film was made, do you think the 6th should be the final, or do you think the franchise should continue? Make the 6th the final, because Matt Damon's in his 50s now. I mean, he's into his 50s. I mean, there's only so much that Jason Bourne can do before he's having to walk around with a fucking cane, you know? So I think that if this is another Bourne movie, they should definitely should make it the last one. But they should also just call it Bourne instead of the Bourne this or the Bourne that. They went that route, ended it with the Bourne Legacy, and then they did the last movie, which was Jason Bourne, this movie. They should just call it Bourne. Bourne. That's it. And then if I'm still doing all of this by the time that movie comes out, I will actually do a follow-up for this and put it with this theme stream special. But moving on, meets with Bourne afterward, gives him a cast of his father's star at Langley, and she offers him a job, and he says he'll think about it. But then she realizes that she's been duped. When she gets back to her car, she sees this gadget, and she listens to it, realizes this was taken in back of me, or in back of my meeting with the director, and it's me talking to the director, and she realizes that she got caught by Bourne saying, if he won't come in, then he'll have to be taken out. And then you hear the Bourne theme, which also shows Bourne walking away. And folks, I love her reaction. She's like, God damn it. She realizes she said a little too much, and she should never have underestimated Bourne. As Dewey said earlier in the film, you have no idea who you're talking or who you're dealing with. He could use the oldest methods to beat you. And he can also use some of the newer gadgets to beat you. And that's the end of this movie. Objectively, I would say this movie is about an 8.5, slightly worse than the other movies. However, it's still a solid Bourne flick. It's still a solid Bourne movie. I really do like it. 8.5 out of 10 objectively. Subjectively, it's 10 out of 10. All the Bourne movies are a 10 out of 10, with exception to Legacy, which is a 9 out of 10. But I still do like that one too. Moviegoer, it drags a little bit. I would say it's a 9.5 out of 10. It does drag a little bit because of the chase that they have on the strip. I mean, it's like, geez, just skip the damn chase on the strip because it's so freaking nice. But other than that, this movie is definitely solid. Next month's theme streams are going to be movies that are debatable Christmas movies. Die Hard, First Blood, and a few others. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned for those, folks. Stay tuned for the ones and twos next month with me and Mara. They're going to be in the latter half of the month near the holiday time. And Sundays, we're going to be talking the Hobbit trilogy and possibly even do an appendices for that as well. I'm going to contact Nerd with a Cigar, Kate, to see if she's up for it. But, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Neozoic, Vanya, and anybody else who was in the chat, thank you for all tuning in. Y'all are freaking amazing and awesome people. Stay tuned for tonight on the Barroom Podcast, where me, Society Reviews, and the other barroomers are going to be discussing some more Hollywood insanity. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. You all have a wonderful day. And always remember, stay humble.